Hello, my name is Makeda Mahadio, and you are watching a CNBC Africa special panel. Now, let's face it, Rwanda is known for many things, but only recently has the country began to make waves in the world of sports, between creating partnerships with not one but two major international football clubs to hosting the annual Tour de Rwanda, which has grown exponentially since its inception, to soon hosting the very first Basketball Africa League playoffs and finals. The country has invested in using sports as a way to achieve some of its tourism, MICE, and infrastructural goals, but has the investment been worth the risk? Today, we have Joel Kayonga, the commercial director of Koje Bank, in studio. We also have Chusa Gashayija, sports analyst and enthusiast. And later, we will be joined by Shema Maboko Didier, the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Sports here in Rwanda. They will be giving us their insights on the viability of Rwanda's sports industry to create significant revenues for the country. So let's jump right into it with the person that's actually the one representing the money on, on the panel today. Why has Koje Bank decided to partner up with Tour de Rwanda in this way?
Well, thank you, Makeda. As you've mentioned, we've been partnering with Tour de Rwanda from 2013. And in addition to that, we've also been partnering with the Rwanda Cycling Cup, which is an extension of what we've been doing with Tour de Rwanda. But well, the way we see it is in terms of income generation for sports, the only difference for sports compared to other industries, businesses in other industries, is that the income generated is not just for profit, right? It's for improving their performance, and with that, they then need to basically generate a lot of income to be able to reinject that and have the capacity to attract better coaches, better players, and
develop the sport, essentially.
Develop the sport, equipment, facilities, and so on. So our partnership with Tour de Rwanda has grown over the years as the event itself has gotten upgraded over the years. So for us, it really is obviously a win-win situation. The event gets to get that income in, and we also get to push our products through marketing through the sport.
Right.
So that's basically the motivation.
You know, you said that it helps to elevate the sports, essentially, and to grow the actual sport that you're working with. But let's talk about the entire ecosystem around that, right? When you're investing in a sport like this, you're not just investing in that, you're investing in a bit more than that, right? So what does this kind of investment in a local sport, what does it mean for the community? And I do want to hear from both you and also from Chusa.
Well, for the community, obviously, as I mentioned, we've been partnering with the Cycling Cup as well, which is now purely local, whereas the Tour de Rwanda also attracts international players. We've also been partnering with one of the teams from Rwamagana, which then is able to benefit the community in that area. There's a lot of activities that go into that in terms of supporting the local community, in terms of the sports that they can improve in that area specifically. There's equipment that gets improved, facilities that get improved. People
right.
are able to sell, different items in that community as well, and that has a knock-on effect, basically.
Right. Chusa, how much of a difference do you see when a company or a big institution like Bank invests in a sport in this way, how does it impact the society?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for hosting us. As an analyst, as someone who sits at the back and watches what's happening, we never separate Rwanda from what happened in the past. In the recent years, we've been seeing a different generation, we've been seeing a different population. When you see Tour du Rwanda, like he said, you see everyone coming on the street. As everyone is happy, he wants to see what's happening, and that's on the side of the population. And then number two, it boosts the economy in a sense that when that activity comes in that area, there's a lot of activities that are happening. There's a lot of businesses that actually take place. And so you find not only has helped the population to reunite, not only has helped the people to feel happy again by seeing sports coming to them, but also it brings money in their pocket in one way or the other. Because if Tour du Rwanda is in Musanze people generate a lot of money.
Right.
Like
spectators,
hotels,
tourists.
Yes, hotels get a lot of clients. Restaurants get a lot of people to come to eat. Bars, people love drinking. People go in bars to drink.
Right.
Even after party, like the song says, party after party. So it's a party and then there's an after party. And so I think it's like a cycle. It is something that you can't take away from the people. It's something that you can't take away from the society. Sports has to be there. So when you see a bank like Bank coming in, not only Bank, the other big banks that are actually coming in to support, you really see that these banks are not there only to make money. They're not there to generate income, but they're there to contribute to that well-being of the people. They're helping that person who has a restaurant to sell. They're helping the person who has maybe like a hotel to sell. They're helping someone who has a bar to sell.
And I do want to come back to that kind of impact. But before we let Joel go, I do want to ask you, you said that part of the benefit of partnering with Tour du Rwanda is that obviously you get to contribute, but that you also get to push your products. How much of a difference has the company seen from, let's say, before working with Tour du Rwanda and after?
Well, the difference is huge. The difference between some of Tour du Rwanda to, with some of the other sports events or sports in general is that while the number of participants is not necessarily that huge, in terms of the actual people, that are involved in the sport, the entertainment value from the sport is such that it pulls huge crowds and at all levels. So what that means is that you can engage all these different levels of the population at different levels and engage them, sensitize them on a number of products that you might have at any given time. So
you've seen a big difference in your customer growth rate.
Yes, we have, and it has enabled us to be able to very quickly push retail products, for instance, that we've introduced in the last couple of years. We've been involved in Tour du Rwanda for the last 7 years, but our drive into retail segment has been, Tour du Rwanda has helped us push that far quicker, far better than it would have been without our involvement in the event.
Right.
Because of the numbers that we see. I mean, it's a cross-country event.
Exactly, right.
And the crowds are massive. I was in Huye yesterday, and for instance, just in Huye, the number of accounts we're able to open just as new accounts is huge. It's not something you can do in a single day without that event. So, yeah.
Right, and that is something unique about being involved with Tour du Rwanda, because you actually do get to cover the country, essentially, which is quite different from some of the other sports events that happen in the country. Thank you so much for joining us on the panel. We will be having another guest coming on, but thank you for lending us your insights. P.S., thank you so much for joining us on the panel. You know, one of the things that we have been seeing in the sports space in Rwanda is that there has kind of been a bit of a renaissance happening. In the past few years, we have seen cyclers becoming acclaimed internationally. We've been seeing basketball picking up in the country, even cricket. And we've also been seeing a lot of efforts and investment being put into sports infrastructure. But before that, there was already a vibrant local football scene. And historically, football has been known to kind of bring people together. You know, it's been a unifying force if you ask a lot of people in the country, especially with reconciliation efforts and different things like that throughout the years. Do you think that this attitude towards sports and this energy in sports will transfer into the new upcoming efforts that are being put into it, this new sports renaissance that's happening into the country right now?
Yeah, sure. We believe that we are taking a new trend of sports in the world, mainly, and our sport also, we believe that it is just starting to get in. Because before, if in Rwanda, sport was just for leisure and for recreation, now we are considering it as a source of revenue and like a job creation, because there are a lot of job created around the sports, not only playing and then you are paid, but also we are now having coaches paid. We are having people doing administration in teams, in clubs, in federations are paid. So this means there is a change, and we believe also now how sport is vibrating in the world, also in Rwanda it is, because we have been having a lot of people investing in sport. We have private companies, we have government putting and investing in sports facilities, investing in national teams, investing in development programs. That shows that people in sport also are now taking a new trend of sport, where sport will be a source of revenue and then an engine for the economy of the country.
Right, and you know, our last guest, Joel from Cogebanque, was saying that it really is a win-win situation because, of course, as they sponsor a sport, they're also getting a lot of visibility for their brand and growing their company as well. But, you know, I do want to you know, talk about some of the bigger news that we have seen in this space. We have been seeing the news about, you know, the Basketball Africa League coming to Rwanda. We have been seeing the big partnerships between PSG and Arsenal and Visit Rwanda and all of the big deals that have been happening. But is there equal effort into putting those investments into local sports?
Yeah, it is, because as I said before, we couldn't see big companies coming in sport, investing in sport. Yes, they are getting a win-win situation where sport is giving free space, is giving space for visibility for the companies coming in sports. And also, they are contributing also to the development of sport, because putting money in sport, it is not only for the visibility or for the events happening, but also people they are getting from what the investors are putting in. And that also shows that sport is growing on different ways, also where we can host, as you are saying, big events, like you are saying Basketball African League, we are hosting, but even before we have been hosting, and you can see there is a new image of sport on international scene, where people are now looking on the development of sport in Rwanda, but not only because of the government's putting, but also for the private sector also investing in sports. Yeah.
Right. What needs to happen for local sports to be elevated in a way? You know, one of the things that you hear a lot is that it's easier to watch an international match on TV than it is to find some of the local matches, right? So does local sports need to be given more exposure, more of a platform here in the country? Is that something that you find as a sports enthusiast?
Yes, that's right. Because sometimes you hear there's a very good match between two local teams, but you're not able to watch it. But you can easily watch an international game and you watch it from your sitting room. I think there's a time government comes in. By the way, government is trying a lot, because before we never used to watch Khan or maybe like anything that is happening in Rwanda. Now, like Tour de Rwanda, people are watching it live. People used to just go on the streets and see Tour de Rwanda happening, but you would never see it on TV. These days, government is injecting a lot of money. They are doing a lot of, they're making sure that sports becomes part of lives of Rwandans. And so I think when it comes to sponsoring, when it comes to financing, when it comes to equal distribution of pushing, I think the government is doing a lot. Before, yes, it was leisure. It was you only go to watch football because you love football. But these days, football finds you in your sitting room. You can watch some matches in your sitting room. You can watch Tour de Rwanda in your sitting room. Recently, we were watching basketball. We were watching the tournament in our sitting room.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change. Kudos to the government, kudos to the private sector. They're really putting a lot of efforts to make sure that everyone sees football as part of their lives.
Right. What active efforts are being made right now in order to heighten that platform?
There are a lot of efforts from different stakeholders in sport. As I said before, government has been investing like 100% in different ways, in development, in national teams, in other activities in sport. But now we are now having other stakeholders coming in, private sectors, people coming for partnering with our local sports. It means it means a lot that people now are looking sport in another way, not only for recreation, as I said before, but also for a way to invest and also to develop the athletes, the sport in itself, but also for the business purpose of the people coming in sport, mainly the private sector.
Right. You know, let's talk about infrastructure, because we have been seeing a lot of big projects happening that have contributed quite a bit even to the GDP. You know, in recent times, actually, just in the past few years, we've seen the Gahanga Cricket Stadium come up. Last year, we saw the Kigali Arena be finished, and we're also seeing the renovation of the golf course. We're seeing plans of expanding the main stadium that we see a lot of events happen at, the Amahoro Stadium. Into the Kigali Sports City. We've been seeing some modeling of that. Can you tell us a little bit about what the plans are for the Kigali Sports City coming up?
Yeah, this is a continuity of the project of having sports facilities, bringing international event with the international standards. After the Kigali Arena, now we are focusing now to renew or to renovate the football stadium, and also what we namely call Petit Stade, the indoor basketball, and the other one NPC Gymnasium. So this is an investment the government is putting just to promote sport and also to bring now more international events, because if we have infrastructures that cannot accommodate or cannot host the international events, we are also losing on another way. But the government is putting now money to invest in that big project where we are having a football stadium that can host international competition with a good standard of sports.
Right. You know, we've been seeing a lot of these infrastructure projects happening here in Kigali. Is there any of these kind of efforts that are being put into the rest of the country in terms of sports infrastructure?
Yeah, we have now recently concluded 3 football stadiums in Nyagatare, Bugesera, and Ngoma. Those are 3 football stadiums which are the pledges of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, and then they are recently completed, and those 3 stadiums are on an international standard where we can host, we can have football games, and now they are used by local clubs in those areas. So that shows that it is not only in Kigali, but also in provinces, in the rural areas also. We are going now to bring more sports facilities that can help people to do sports and also to host international events.
Right. You know, these efforts will inevitably bring more attention to Rwanda. We can host more of these international events, etc. Even the partnerships, you know, Visit Rwanda has seen good numbers according to RDB since the Arsenal partnership has happened. We've yet to see what's going to happen with the PSG deal. It's quite new, but we're following up on that as well. But how can we bring in the local talent in order to put Rwanda on the map that way, right? So how can we make sure that there are more Rwandan stars internationally? Because that's one of the things that we haven't really seen much of. What needs to happen for there to be more talent development in the country for us to see sports as an export?
I think this is a good question, by the way, because sometimes people, they say our sport doesn't develop, we don't have a good quality of players or athletes, but we do. According to what we have seen with the non-adequate sport infrastructures, where our athletes, our players were struggling to develop their careers, their talents in the rural areas or in their where they were living. But now we are having now a good quality of facilities that can also help the athletes, the players to develop their talents. And also having now, as we are saying, hosting international events. I think our athletes will have like now the new vision. They will change their mind in terms of their vision in what they see in sports, so that they will work more and then they have facilities around them.
Chusa, as someone who follows sports closely, you know, there was an argument for some time in the country that more efforts should be, or priority rather, should be put into maybe disciplines that Rwandan athletes were doing better at. So, you know, for some time, football was not doing that well. We weren't seeing them qualify for a lot of international events, etc. And so a lot of people were saying maybe more priority and more money or investment should be put into those athletes that are in disciplines like cycling and those kinds that Rwandans are actually excelling in. Do you agree with that argument?
You see, we've seen countries that develop a lot of talents, regardless of whether one talent is actually major or maybe it's the most liked. You find that people who are saying that are those that like one talent, or maybe they love one discipline. They're not sport analysts. They're not people who see sport as a general activity. They're only looking at one thing. But the truth is, I don't buy that idea. I look at. Now, for example, when you look when you watch the Olympics, you find that one country has brought a lot of athletes in different disciplines, and they're winning a lot of gold medals. So you cannot say that we're only focusing on one and then we leave the rest. Let me give you an example of one famous country in football, and that is Brazil. Look at Brazil. When you go to Olympics, you find a lot of Brazilians winning a lot of medals in running, in swimming, in different disciplines. So you can't say that Brazil, because it's known to be a football hub of the entire world, it should not invest even in other disciplines. So to me, I would buy the idea of saying that let's promote everyone, let's promote every talent, and then nurture them and see those that can actually take the country to another level. And also I would love to concur with what the PS said, that the government, yes, the government has built a lot of stadiums, a lot of facilities. You can see a lot of things around the world, as maybe around the country. But you should not forget that the government has even encouraged the entire population to be involved in maybe in sports. Because when you look at Kigali, for example, we have a car-free day. Car-free day is only for sports. And everyone wakes up, picks a bike, runs, walks, does anything, but you make sure that on that day you do sports. There is no vehicle on the road. There is no one who is disturbing you. Actually, everyone stops because they want every Rwandan, every citizen of this country doing sports.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, you find it does not only stop at the stadiums, it does not only stop at Rwanda, it does not only stop at cricket, at say basketball, but it even goes to the real person. Now, going away from Kigali, this has even been picked up by other provinces, by other cities. You go to Rwamagana, you find people are doing car free day.
Right.
You go to Musanze, the same thing. So you find sport has become part of our culture.
Right.
And I don't buy the idea of saying, let's promote one discipline, but we can promote all disciplines.
Right.
Trust me, in the future, we shall see stars of basketball playing in the NBA because we have basketball facilities. Now, young men, young girls are finding themselves easy to play basketball, and they even are shining. Go to football. There are very many academies in football. People are investing a lot of money in football. You find that a football team in the Premier League is having an academy, and these youngsters are growing up. Tomorrow you hear them are playing in Europe. Right. And that's how sports develops. Go to cycling. Go to Rwanda.
But how can it be further integrated into the culture? Because we do see these efforts, with Car Free Day and with the academies coming up and with the investments in the infrastructure, etc. But are these programs happening in school with kids from a young age? And is that something that's going to be built up?
Yes, it is. It is something that is actually being nurtured from school age. From the time I remember when I was in primary school, we used to have a lot of teams. We used to go and support teams. And trust me, some of those guys that we used to support are now playing as like national teams. So it starts from actually the grassroots. When you go to villages, you find boys and young girls are playing balls like on the street. Right. And no one is touching them because they feel this is their right. You know, it has become cultural. It has become part of our life. Right. And now today we have a fully fledged ministry of sport. Nothing else. Right. All they're doing is sport.
Is there any systems in place right now in order to not only promote them, but to protect them? We talked about it earlier. We haven't seen many stars, but we have heard stories of other teams going to international games and not being paid on time or not being treated well, etc. Is that something that the ministry, or is that something that is being considered right now by the government, how to not only elevate the skills of these players, but to protect them?
Now the mentality about sport has changed. It means before, when we were kids, when we were young, playing was you play because it was not given. We are not given permission to go to play, to participate in sport activities. But now today, our parents and the communities are now supporting, because people now have changed their minds to see sport is not only for people who are useless or are not able to do any other things, but it is something that helping even the community to be known. Imagine if you have a cyclist, like we have some cyclists from different areas, Rwamagana or other areas of the countries, where their neighbors, they see them playing Tour de Rwanda on TV, right, participating in an international event. And me, myself, when I started even officiating basketball, before I played, but also I went to officiate, sometimes even people are asking me, why do you still in this business? But it is cause of passion, but also now people has understood that sport, it is
it's a respectable...
Yeah, it is. And it is like...
it's an opportunity.
Yeah, it is an opportunity where people, they can join, and then also they can gain from...
they can earn a living from it, and they can also contribute to the community.
Exactly.
We have seen how lucrative sports can be worldwide. Some sports stars are the biggest stars in the world, and we know them because they become brand ambassadors. We know them because they earn lots of money and they become stars within their own right. Are we here in Rwanda, is the industry nurturing that kind of environment for our own local stars. You know, you do see investment going into the space, but we don't necessarily know how the athletes themselves are treated. Are they being nurtured in this way?
So I think that is a new trend also in our sport, where, as I said, it is now becoming a source of revenue, and then also people are getting money, so now they can also invest in different programs. I have heard that there are some players in football now investing now in youth development programs where they have started their careers.
Right.
That is very good. That shows that people are also changing and then giving back to the community where they came from, and also helping others also to grow their talent. So that
Right.
is a good sign for what we are getting in sports.
With the growth of the industry, do you see more private companies going the endorsement route? Because we do see the Nikes and the Pumas and these companies that have really invested a lot of money in athletes themselves. And a lot of times they're making more money from endorsements than they are from the actual sport. Do we see the industry sort of moving in that direction as the sector grows here in the country?
Yeah, you see, everything has where it starts from. If we do our homework, trust me, we shall be where we want to be. All those stars will come. Today, we didn't know that Visit Rwanda will take us where we were. When you're watching a football game and you're seeing Visit Rwanda in the stadium, who knows? Maybe tomorrow it's going to be Nike coming here or Puma coming here or anything. Me, what I know, everything has where it starts from. We have done our homework. I believe the government has done their homework. We have done our homework as well. We are producing a lot of stars. Though we may not have the Messis and Cristianos of this world, but trust me, when we are calling for a national team, you find that the majority are people from abroad. People who are playing outside. When you go to basketball, you find that many young boys and girls are being taken away to go and play basketball somewhere else. Look at cycling. You know, you cannot talk about football and just leave cycling behind. Look at cycling. We are having players who are in clubs in Europe, in South Africa, in different big countries. And these guys are contributing a lot. So what I'm saying, what about those players when they reach there? Do they meet Nike? Do they meet Puma? Do they meet Adidas? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And what will happen tomorrow, after seeing that, after seeing Visit Rwanda, after seeing the facilities that the government is putting in place, after seeing how Rwandans love football, love soccer, love basketball, and the sports in general, trust me, tomorrow you hear Puma here, you will hear Nike here, you will hear Adidas here. And this is how everything starts. You know, when you look at the countries, probably as you ask those questions, you're having some countries in mind that have really succeeded in this. But look at the history. Where did they start from?
Right.
How long did it take them to reach where they are today? Look at Senegal, for example. Yeah. We have Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane is winning world accolades.
Right.
And Puma and Nike and all those ones are looking for him.
Right.
The same thing is going to happen to Rwanda. Rwanda has just gotten out of troubles, a lot of issues that are happening in Rwanda. Now we are trying to rebuild, we are trying to unite, and things are evolving in a minute. You wake up, you find something that you never saw before. People who were here before Kigali Arena, when they're coming, they're seeing Kigali Arena. What's happening here?
Now in Rwanda, cyclists who have actually achieved a lot,
yes.
Are they getting those endorsements? Are they getting those sponsorships? Those athletes themselves, are they living the lifestyle of the sports stars that they are locally?
I think to a certain extent, not to the fullness, no, to a certain extent. Because I remember Tour de Rwanda like 2 years ago when one man called Hallelujah won it. Oh, today he's all over the world. And he's being really supported by everyone. And the government, I think, is supporting this guy. Yes. So the same thing, I think it again comes back to us. Once you get that kind of exposure, you get that kind of support, do you really put a lot of effort so that you reach where you're supposed to be? It somehow stops at us. I think we start feeling we are stars, we are big people, everyone is behind me, everyone is shouting at me, and then you forget what actually took there. So I think on the side of who is supposed to support you, that has been done. Then on the side of whether you should put a lot of effort, that's what now we're pushing. Right. To make sure that you get support, but also you put a lot of effort. Today we're seeing money, maybe tomorrow we shall see someone else from Rwanda. Maybe the other day we shall see, because we never knew Mane or Sarah like few years ago.
Right.
But now we know them. So tomorrow it may be someone from Rwanda. It's like now we have someone in cycling who is winning from different sides,
Right.
like Kojebank said, and everything is evolving. When you look at the history of Rwanda, when you look at where sports came from, I can assure you, in very few years from now, you'll be hearing very big names of people who have been naturally from Rwanda and who have been supported.
Right.
Of course, they've put in a lot of effort to reach where they want to be.
And I do want to come back to that, but let's flip the conversation a little bit in the other way. You know, in what ways is this growing sports sector now encouraging more entrepreneurship? Because there are opportunities for people to actually create their businesses out of this growing sector. So in what ways have you seen or identified that has happened?
Yeah, look, as I told you, it's not only athletes, players now getting or earning money in sport, but we have also coaches, professional coaches. Now in football, we are seeing now coaches from Rwanda now are recruited in clubs in East Africa or other ways. And we have also players now going to play outside. We have now people coming to invest in sport, and then also we have people like doing marketing, sport marketing. We have people now doing sport administration. That means there is something coming up now, not only playing, as I said, but also other jobs, other functional areas in sport. We have sport medicines, people coming in sport medicine. We have people now like...
Don't forget media.
Yeah, the media.
If you want to advertise today in
Yeah.
media,
Right.
if you want your message to be passed on, it has to go through the sports shows.
Yeah, here our main radios now, radio stations, they have like sport shows taking more than 5 hours a day.
Right.
So
Because they are advertising, they are getting a lot of
yes,
money out of it.
and also we have people now, young kid, young generation now coming with the new digital platforms now they are using, and then they are putting sports games, images like interviews or games, or the match played. So that means there are other functional areas that are created around
Going
sport.
to sports betting.
Yeah, you see, now sport betting now is
Right.
is another trend now. Yes.
And I do want to ask about that, because you know you can't drive through the country and not see these sport betting signs everywhere. But like, you know, there are other countries around the region like Kenya who have reviewed the regulations around sports betting. Where does Rwanda stand there?
I think, as I said, this is also a new trend in sport in sport in Rwanda. And betting also, I think, on a certain way, each country has its own regulation. I think we are also having this coming up. I think in coming days it will be regulated in a way they will not be only waiting, abusing, and also sitting, waiting also for betting, but also to people, they go in, then they know what they are doing, you know. So I think as Kenya took some regulations that was according to the experience they have got from what it is happening. So I think also on our side also we will regulate according to the situation we are living in. If it is coming to a worse situation, we will be just coming back to correct and then also to improve.
We saw one of the parts of the partnership between Rwanda and Arsenal is that there's supposed to be some coaches coming into the country to sort of, you know, do some trainings, work with people. How is the ministry leveraging that? What will we see coming out of those trips? Because we haven't really seen the small details.
No, we have different programs already ongoing with Arsenal. We have coaches coming for, even recently we have some of the coaches from Arsenal coming. So they work with the Football Federation, and then they have a group of kids, young kids, talented kids, they train. And the ministry, what we do, we just work with them to coordinate and then also to help to regulate what they are doing, so that we, in the coming days, we have we have benefits from that partnership, where coaches coming and then they are giving sessions or football sessions, and then also we have also our coaches also learning from their experience. So we have that also knowledge transfer from Arsenal coaches to our local coaches.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing all we've been discussing today, how the sports sector is growing, you know, in the country. In your opinion, and I'd like to hear from both of you, what makes, or what does the ideal, perfect, thriving sports sector in a country look like to you?
Probably if you start with me, the ideal sports, I was like, maybe how does it look like? How should it look like? To me, I would say actually how it looks like today. It is actually the ideal, because a lot of investment have been put in as maybe like infrastructure. A lot of investment has been put in the sports and talent identification. A lot of investment are put in a lot of tourism that is sports oriented. A lot of investment has been put in the renovation of existing infrastructures. To me, I am satisfied, though I am not 100% satisfied, because we need now to start producing stars. Because,
and have the fruits of those efforts
and have
already,
the fruits of those efforts.
Right.
You know, today we are like a mother who is almost delivering. You know, we have been going through the 9 months. Now it's time for us. Now we are just waiting to deliver. Trust me, with a lot of efforts that the government has put in. When you hear, when you had Bank and even other big companies sponsoring sports, when you hear ZAM, it didn't leave football as such. It only left the federation,
right.
But it is now with some sports,
with the teams,
yes,
right.
like teams,
the clubs.
And it is not only that one. You know, before, out of 15 or 16 football teams, only one was sponsored, but now we have like almost 6 or 7 are being sponsored. Tomorrow they are going to be all of them. Go to cycling. People are injecting a lot of money. Go to basketball. People are injecting a lot of money. We're hearing NBA coaches coming here. We are hearing our referees going to be trained as like maybe in the US or elsewhere.
Sure.
So to me, we are really at the peak of where things now are going to start happening. Though from where I sit, I am seeing things happening well.
Right. Maybe
the government has more projects that we don't know, which you're going to hear from the PS or anything else. But what I can say, we are like a plane that's almost setting off. We are almost flying. We have just finished everything. Okay, not everything, but at least the most important things. Now we are going to start seeing the fruits. 5 years from now, invite us in the studio, you will see.
So for you, there's interest, there's activity in the sector, there's investment, and so for you, that's the sweet spot, because now it's just the seeds are in the ground. Now it's just about watching the
government is watering, the private sector is watering.
Right.
Very soon you will start seeing stuff. I don't know whether I share the same sentiment with him, but to me that's what I see.
From a government perspective, what do you see as an ideal environment? What do you see as the ideal sports sector?
Let me start by my own experience, where I've seen sport. As I said before, we were doing sport because of the passion. I want to play. I like to play any sport, football, volleyball, basketball. And sport was used for socialization and later on for reconciliation and unity of Rwandans. And it comes now where people start to say, okay, I'm doing it because of it is passion. And then now we have seen now coming with the people investing in sport, as we were saying here. So now it is coming now sport and business, sport in business. So it means there is something changing, not only from the Rwandan community, but also on the government side, where we are looking sport as a sector of economy, the engine of economy of the country. So it means investing in facilities like a Kigali Arena, it is not a joke. It is just an investment aiming to get a return on investment. It is an investment just to promote sport, to bring people in the country. If we have, in the coming days, we have, we be having Basketball African League. So it is a tournament, or it is a championship, the first edition, that will be the finals with the NBA and the FIBA Africa. So we have stars from NBA coming. We have top clubs in Africa coming to Rwanda. It is not only arena. They will not stay in arena. We have hotels. We have other business benefiting from tourism. Tourism. We have Tour du Rwanda turning around in the country, people coming in the country. We have Kigali International Peace Marathon, where we have a lot of people coming abroad to participate in the event. We are now bidding for UCI World Champion Road Cycling Championship in 2025. That means people are now looking to come in Rwanda. We have the partnership with PSG and the Arsenal. That means it is investment showing that it is not only just putting money, but we are also looking in the image where sport will be an engine for the economy of the country, where people we gain the population, people participating, and I say job creation, and other also even people coming to invest in Rwanda from outside. So I think that is a new trend where sport is not only for playing. Before it was said you are playing because you are you are okay, but now it is sport with investment and sport just aiming to the business.
You know, we've seen countries in the past invest in sports infrastructure and invest in certain things, and it do well for a time, but then maintenance kind of got out of their hands. Is there any what's being put in place in order to make sure that all of these investments are protected and that these infrastructures that have come up are maintained and utilized to their optimal ability?
Yeah, I come again to the point that investing in sport, it is also job creation. We are having people now trained to maintain electronics, sport equipment, sports facilities. Now there are new jobs created. So we are looking people, especially young generation, coming to work in those sports facilities for maintenance. But also now we are encouraging people also to invest in the management of sports facilities, because before it was sports facilities, you have a stadium, and then it is the government managing the stadium or the facility.
Right.
But now we are looking at people now coming to investing in the management of sports facilities. That also is a new way of job creation, and also
and making sure those jobs are maintained.
Yes,
right?
I maintain, because if people they are skilled to manage the facilities, it means also it will be sustainable. It is not only having the facility and then people are just looking for using, but they are also skilled to manage and then also to maintain.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, as the industry grows and as the sector grows, and you know, like both of you have said, you know, there is so much happening in this space right now. What are the main challenges that you've identified that both of you that the industry players and even just the society will have to overcome to make sure that the sector continues to grow?
Oh, well, some of the challenge that I've seen is, should I say, now like, let's go to football. Azam withdrew recently. They withdrew, and then the federation, I don't think whether they were ready for that withdrawal. Look at,
we've even seen something, you know, happening with Skol and with a team that they work with.
Exactly, as like I've ever heard it in the news that Skol and the team that they have been working with is going to be, you know,
right.
yes, something like that. So I think those are some of the challenges. Some investors probably are not, should I say, are not patient enough to see this thing growing 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, and sometimes they reach a point where they feel like they should withdraw. That's why I have loved the way the government has taken it up. Even if the private sector withdraws or the investors withdraws, trust me, the government is there for them. The government will always make sure they put basic infrastructures to ensure even if this goes, something remains and something continues to move.
Right.
And so I think some of the challenges is that kind of partnership risk between the investors and football players. That's one of the challenges. Maybe another challenge is not having that much exposure where we export talents to abroad.
Right.
Like now we've been having Azam. Now Azam, I don't know whether Azam reaches Europe where people can watch football. But now basketball is coming. NBA is coming here. And Tour de Rwanda, Tour de France has come here. And now that exposure is coming. That was one of the challenges, that we were not exposed enough to be seen outside there so that it exports this. And then another challenge that has been maybe the cost of running these activities of football.
Right.
And you find that some costs are being now shared. Recently, I think you've heard that the government has waived visa fee for everyone that wants to come to Rwanda. Maybe that was a cost that maybe would challenge someone to come and invest in Rwanda. So some costs are being waived. And then another thing is when you come and you find that there is some basics. Before there were no basics. Before you could not find a very nice football stadium that can host AFCON. Maybe that can host CHAN. I think we've hosted CHAN before. It's because there's something. So
the
those
facilities.
were so those were challenges that we had previously. Maybe another challenge is when you have
challenges that we're still facing.
Exactly.
Right.
Now challenges that we are still facing today is the failure to export our talents.
Right.
Yet we have them. Or not the failure, the slowness in nurturing talents. It's a very big challenge today. Talents are everywhere. We have talents in our community, but they are not exploited. They are not brought to the face of the world like it is supposed to be.
So that's where you believe more efforts need to be
That's
focused.
why I believe more efforts needs to be focused.
Right.
There's a lot of talent. I know the government has heard our voices.
Right.
Now we have a fully fledged ministry that is actually looking for those talents. Before it used to be a second or a third objective of a ministry.
Right.
Now it is the primary objective of
dedicated
the ministry.
dedicated to that.
For it. Now there are facilities.
Right.
Before we never used to have facilities. Maybe there are challenges of more facilities to come up, which I think the government is trying and the investors are trying.
Right.
That's also another one. Maybe another one is the media. Probably media has become really a challenge for us.
Sure.
We cannot watch a game, or we watch it hardly, but we can listen. At least media has also tried. All radios can air match live, but not all TVs can air match live.
Right.
Maybe that one as well is a challenge.
So mostly media, because the others do seem like the infrastructure is there. It's now just taking full advantage of the things that have been set into place and making sure that they are pushed through. From a government perspective, just before we wrap up this talk, what are some of the challenges that the ministry is facing, and what are some ways that you are looking to sort of overcome that in order to achieve this this perfect sports sector?
What I can say is that since before the government was investing in sport alone, so the government is putting a lot of money, yet we have a lot of challenges to solve, things to improve in the daily life of the population. But the challenge we are still having is that having more people coming to invest in sport. We have a few companies already, as we were saying before, a few companies investing in sport, but we need more coming, because investing in sport, it is helping the development of the athletes, development of our players, and the development of the game in general. And the other challenge also is the mindset changing. Of people need to change their minds, because if you don't trust the process, you will not have results, because sometimes people, they judge the sport development in Rwanda after the result of Amavubi, football team.
Yeah.
You know, people, they say you lost a game with Cameroon when we played at regional. So they say, no, there is no sport in Rwanda. I say, no, trust the process. Cameroon is a good team with professional players. We have scored 1 goal. So you don't even see that we have tried even to keep. Before, we were losing Cote d'Ivoire 5-0, you know.
And yesterday we drew.
Yeah, yesterday we drew in Cameroon, you know. So it means we need also to trust the process, where we, as you said, we have to be patient. We wait, and then we process, because you cannot take from 0 to 10 immediately. You have to go through the process, and then we have good athletes, we have good teams, good players, and not only saying, I want results now, and then tomorrow you are going to bring, you know, how it was done before. But this now we have to trust the process. We have young athletes coming up, we develop them, we support them, we motivate them, and then we bring them now on the top with a lot of support from the community, from the government, from the private sector,
right,
from different stakeholders, just helping in the development of sports. Yeah.
And of course, as that happens, as that develops, it will obviously contribute to sports becoming more of a viable revenue stream for the country. I would like to say thank you once again for joining us on the panel today. Lots of interesting insights there, and we hope to follow up, like you said, in a few years when things have actually bloomed to their ideal potential there. But thank you once again. And you have been watching a CNBC Africa special panel. We have been discussing sports as a viable revenue stream for Rwanda. We hope to see you the next time. My name is Makeda Mahadio.